Good morning. So I guess we actually do have that still in place. The fact that it's on the table. Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's having an amazing day. Welcome to the show this week. Again, as always, we got Tom Vargeletis as a guest, and the topic of today is: should you sell your home during holiday season? And the main reason why, let me just square this up real quick. The main reason why we wanted to touch up again on this subject is we got a bunch of questions last week, and also we got a good amount of emails regarding this matter. So we said, we asked Tom. He agreed to talk a little bit again about the process of selling your home during holidays. Tom, welcome to the show. How are things?
Things are good.
Awesome.
My name is Tom Vargeletis. I'm the Director of Career Development with Layer Realty Partners, also running a real estate photography company. So every week we get on here and answer your questions live. If you have a question and you're watching the recording, you can post it in the comments section below and we'll answer it there or on the next week.
Awesome. So mainly, and I got the questions ready here, mainly all the questions came from people that decided last minute that they actually need to sell the home, right? So, because I got a feeling, because it's a little bit, I would say it's a last minute thing, because nobody would actually want to move like right during the holiday season,
in the snow,
right,
during Christmas, or
and all this last minute situations happen. So it's better to be prepared and actually know what you can do if that happens. So that's why we wanted to ask you a couple of questions today. So what do you think, what would be your best advice for people to be prepared? Like, what would be the first, 2-3 things to do?
Like if someone has to move over the
exactly
holiday.
Yeah, like when they have to
so
sell the home. And
so if you're moving, you're going to be depending on a few people, and not all of these people work during holidays because they've got families too. So if you have to move and you need a moving company, they might be closed on some holidays. If you are working with a real estate attorney or even a realtor, you need to talk to these people and ask them, are you going to be going on vacation? Because sometimes their plans are last minute too. And they're like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So, one of the most important things for preparedness, if you know you have to move and you know it's going to happen, you want to make sure that the people you're working with are going to actually be there for you, because it's already inconvenient. Like we're in New England, and pretty soon it's going to start snowing. And if you have to move in the snow, it's not that fun. I've done it once, and I'll never ever do it again. It's pretty difficult. So you don't want to make your problems even worse, or you don't want to make that process more difficult if you can't even close on time because your attorney is gone. So
got it. So if it would be for you to start putting together like a checklist, one, to be prepared and start calling the persons that would be involved in the moving process and see if they would be available for that period of time, correct?
Yeah.
That would be number one?
Well, yeah. So first, you're going to move, it has to happen. So first you want to get in touch. The easiest way to do this is to contact your realtor first. If you don't have a realtor, find one. We've done videos on that before. You get in touch with your realtor first, and then talk to that person about your goals as far as how you're going to move, where you're going to, and then the realtor can kind of help you figure out a timeline. Like, okay, if you're actually trying to sell your house and we price it here, we can expect it to sell in such amount of time. If you're a pre-approved buyer for this much in this marketplace, it should take us so long to get a property. And those are very specialized. Those are unique conversations to you, and that's something you want to have on a case-by-case basis. Figure out your timeline. Figure out who you need to get this deal done, and then you'll be able to actually make some pretty good decisions moving forward, and follow this plan. But it's, especially during the holidays, when people are going to be, visiting family across the country, across the state, or just taking time off from work or whatever, you want to figure out when things are happening, so you can have that conversation like, are you going to be available for me, because I need to make this happen, right now.
Yeah.
I have a closing on
like 2 weeks
on Christmas Eve. Are you going to be there for me or not? And then you got to find someone who can stand in, or who can help, or just make those arrangements.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to do it weeks in advance. It's not easy to, 2 days before the closing, and you're like, oh, we can't close because the registry is going to be closed, and and that happens too. Sometimes, consider the holidays when you're setting up your offer date, your contingency dates, and your closing dates, because realtors will do like, all right, it takes about 60 days to do a closing. I'll just pick, I'll count out 60 and set the date there. But it's New Year's Eve or something. So it's on a federal holiday, the registry's closed, or it's on a Sunday. So many offers come in, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a holiday weekend. That's a Labor Day weekend. You're going to do a closing? That's not. You can't do that. It's not going to happen. So you want to have those conversations right at the beginning. Super easy problem to fix. Like on the day of, it's not an easy problem to fix. So
let's just make sure you put that down.
Oh, we lost our feet in the back.
That's weird. Anyways, so let's see. I got another question from somebody that was moving from Boston to New York right before Christmas, and that makes
like the week before.
Yeah, and that makes things even worse, because now they're moving out of state, and they said, they were asking like, what's the best option to start, searching there for places. If they should rent before if they should keep the stuff in storage here, if they should keep it there.
So that's going to depend on your lifestyle and why you're moving. So if you're like a single person, if you're traveling pretty light, all your stuff can fit on one small truck. It would be easier to just take everything with you. If you're moving for work and you've got your family and they're still living here, it might not be so easy to just pick everybody up and move them, especially if you don't know the area. If you know the area, then that's, if you used to live there years ago, you get it, and you know what it's going to be like. You'll be able to make that, a pretty informed decision about what you should do. But if you have to move to New York for a job or something, which is usually why people move, or I don't know, maybe you just got married and your significant other is from New York, they want to live there, so great, we got to move. It's worth it to rent for a little while. If you're not familiar, it's worth it to rent for like a year. You pay a little bit extra than you would if you had a mortgage. Depending on the location, you might get a pretty good deal. But it's because a lot of people. I've worked on a lot of interstate relocations, and people will move in, and sometimes they just love it. They found the right community for them, and that's great. But most often, they move into a community, they get to know the area, and then they realize this other town 45 minutes away is way better. They like the school system better, or the parks better, or it's closer to work, or whatever. And they would not have known that if they didn't live there. So if they had bought the house, then they would have to deal with the hassle of putting it on the market, selling it. Sure. On a short-term deal like that, potentially even losing some money, depending on the market conditions, and it's a little bit more of a hassle. It's doable, if you're financially comfortable doing that, making a purchase, and maybe we lose a couple $1,000s or whatever if we have to resell and move. That's fine, because then you own the house. But a rent is a good idea. Get to know the location, and then.
Take the next step.
Give it a year, and because then the market, where you want to live and what you're looking for in a house. Because if you're going in cold, you don't have enough information.
Yeah, and then they're moving to New York, actually Syracuse, New York, which is upstate. All right, perfect. somebody was asking if they should get their home ready for winter before they have the showings. So in terms of getting everything like being prepared, the oil system to make sure it's properly.
Oh, like
working
doing the
and all that.
maintenance and stuff?
Yeah.
Yes, you should do that. You should do that, and you should keep the receipts and show that to buyers. It's going to add a lot of value to the deal if they want to buy the house, because you can say, everyone has that in the back of their mind. Okay, I'm buying this house. Am I buying a bunch of problems with the house too? But if, as the seller, if you show, this good faith, like, hey, look, we did all this maintenance. This is good to go over the winter. You don't have to worry about it. Buyers are really going to appreciate that. There's even an insurance product that you can buy that insures like the appliances, the electrical system, and the heating system, and you can transfer it with the property. Sometimes I recommend that. It's pretty cheap. It's like I don't know, it's less than like a full insurance.
Yeah.
But you buy it, you insure the home, and the home is insured, not you as the owner. So when you sell it, the buyer gets that insurance for a year or something, or 2 years. I forget what or maybe there's two products, like a year and 2 year. But anyway, that's a really good way to go, because in the wintertime, fill the tank up with oil, because the buyers pay for it anyway. Right? When they calculate the closing costs, they're like, all right, we have 600 gallons of oil. The cost of oil today is, I don't know, $5 a gallon times 600, and then they factor that in. So the buyers are going to pay for it at the closing.
Yeah.
And you got to keep the house warm anyway, because no one's buying the house with frozen pipes.
True. So definitely. Obviously, it's definitely a go, and make sure the house is maintained for the winter time. Now, coming from a college student, and they said, well, it's a different situation here. They said they're actually dropping college because they got a good job in a different state.
Oh, good.
Right? So they said this happened last minute, and but the company there cannot help with the housing. So then they said, what should I do in terms of finding places to live, because it's so, they say they need that person like right away, like right before Christmas or so. So then,
but they're not paying for the move or for housing.
Exactly.
Okay. So like, if you have to go right now, and you're like, I need to take this job today, I need to jump in the car and drive across the country and start doing my thing. Well, maybe they won't pay for the move, but I would ask for them to cover a hotel stay while you find a house or an apartment, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be that much money. If you got a signing bonus or an advance of some kind, maybe you could just pull it out of that money. As a college student, I'm going to assume you don't have much savings, because that's like pretty normal for college students.
Yeah.
So, maybe you don't have any cash stowed away. Maybe you've got a family member that could loan some money, right? Like your mom, your dad. I mean, if you've been working and if you're paying for college on your own, you've probably got a savings, and you're probably squared away enough to be able to manage it financially. So if not, if your family is paying for college already, just be like, hey, look, how much cheaper would it be for you to help me find a place to live, and then I'll just pay you back. Because if your parents are paying for your college, or they're co-signing on loans, like, you're never going to get paid back over here, except, the joy of a student with a college degree, for whatever that's worth. But I would go there to seek out like the money wise. You can go there, get a cheap motel, like a disgusting cheap motel for $20 a night or $10 a night or whatever. Or you could do an Airbnb, which is great for midterm stays, because you got to get there first. You got to get there, and if you've never lived there before and you don't have family there that could help you, then you're gonna have to, put your boots on the ground and explore a little bit, and look for a place. Keep in mind that most landlords, if you're going to rent, they're going to ask for a deposit. potentially first and last month's rent up front. So you're going to need some cash, and you're going to need to keep that on the side until you start making money at your job. So if you don't have cash, if you do have cash, get a short-term hotel stay, like a week, 2 week, look for apartments, like every day after work. Like you're gonna work that as like a second part-time job until you find a place and get a lease signed, because you need a place to stay.
And because it's time consuming, I guess you can call it a part-time job.
It is time consuming, because not everyone's going to accept your application. Not everyone's going to get back to you. And it's not because, no one wants to rent an apartment to you, or that you're a bad tenant or whatever. But some landlords are just bad at following up. Or sometimes they advertise a property, they lease with someone, and then they never take the ad down. They never do anything. They let the ad expire 6 months later, but they just stop taking calls and emails.
Got it.
So
awesome. Question coming from a landlord, actually. He was renting for the past 5 years, and then he decided he wants to move to Florida and needs to sell the home ASAP, like before holidays. It's,
yeah. So if you've got an occupied property, it's going to depend on the property itself. So is it a single family, a multifamily, is it commercial? If it's a single family that's rented out, the first thing I would do is actually call the tenants and ask if they want to buy it. That's the path of least resistance. If the tenants are living there, they love the house, and they've been there for a while, maybe they would just buy it.
That's a good point, actually.
Maybe they'll just buy it, and you can contact a realtor. They'd be happy to run that whole show for you. So if the tenants don't want to buy it, or they can't, then you can put it on the market, and you have an option to sell it as an investment property, and a condition of the sale that the landlord is going to buy it to keep the tenants, or just a traditional sale, and hey, when it's sold, your tenants, sorry guys, you got to leave. You could do like a cash for keys deal. You could wait to the end of their lease. Most leases don't start in the fall, winter time. Most of them start in the spring, summertime, because that's when people are moving. So unless it's a tenant at will, you'd be looking at breaking the lease, and you'd have to set up a special arrangement with them. It's kind of a complicated issue that you'd want to talk to a real estate attorney about. So no one's breaking any rules and getting in trouble. But yeah, you can definitely do it. You can do it fast if you price it right. If you expect to get top dollar, it's not going to sell fast, because you can get that top dollar. In the wintertime, there's not a lot of buyers, so it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to depend a lot on your agent marketing the hell out of that property, because they're going to have to convince people to buy when they don't really want to buy, and that's really difficult. But if you price it right, it'll go like that. Real estate sells year round, just less frequently in the winter.
And so let's assume, worst case scenario, the tenant doesn't want to buy. Like usually, because of course he still needs to, respect the contract, because if that's signed for another 9 months.
Well, there are scenarios where you can break or change the lease, and that's why you want to talk to a real estate attorney, because sometimes that's it. You're contractually bound, and you can't do anything. But sometimes there is a workaround, and like in the tenant's case, say, hey guys, when the house sells, I'll give you your deposit back. I'll give you an extra $5,000 on top of that to move, right? I'll cover your moving costs. You cover your deposit and your first month's rent at the new place.
Oh, so you got to make an offer that it's impossible to say no to.
Yeah, you can make them a really good offer, so you're not going to profit quite as much, but do you want to get the deal done or not? So, if it's really urgent, you have to sell it, fine. There are situations like, so I'm also running a property management company, and my landlords are not local to their units. One of them is out of state. One of them is across state. So I've got, landlords of investment property that they don't really want to sell it. Some of them do. Some of them do want to sell, but they can't because of the tenant thing. But you can hire a property manager, and they'll collect the rent for you, manage the accounts, maintain the property,
do everything else.
Yeah.
Awesome. So same scenario in here when the family got an offer to move internationally.